Let's learn how to perform looping in Python. Means like if I want to perform if else, how we can do it. You can relate it with your normal day-to-day if else kind of life. For example, I can say if you learn this data science course from TecLov, you will become the best data scientist. Else, you may become average or no data scientist, right? So that's something I can put it into if and else statement in a normal way. Similar way, even while we are working with respect to your Python programming, we can put some conditions like if this is going to happen, then run this part of the code, else run some other part of the code. So I can define it this same day-to-day life construct into our programming languages. So here, just to take this example, if I say a is equal to 5, and now we are checking if the value of a is greater than 50, then do this, else do this, right? So this is how basically I am performing this. Now, if I'm doing this, if a is greater than 50, definitely this condition is not true because 5 is not greater than 50. So it will definitely come to else block. Now what is my else block stating? My else block is stating it is creating another variable where it is doing 50 minus a, which is going to be 45 because the value of a is 45. So it is going to return me a is smaller than 50 by 45 units. Right? So that's what we are printing here. So here if I come and execute this, you can see that it's returning me is smaller than 50 by 45 units. So it is running the code as a part of else block. I want you to notice one more thing here, which is going to be how you can put the code into a block format. If you're coming from any other programming language background, what you must have done is you might have created, let's say, if loop, some condition, and you might have put the code of if maybe inside this brackets, right? In Python, we don't use these brackets. In Python, we use indentation. Okay, we uses indentation. Now, the way this indentation works, it's very important to understand. Otherwise, you will keep on getting errors. First of all, when we have to start a loop, we always start with this colon symbol. So you can see this colon symbols. That means now I'm going inside a loop. Now further to this, that if you do an enter, okay, like if you say a greater than 50 and do an enter. So one way is usually automatically if you're writing into this Jupyter prompt, it will automatically put it into an inclined fashion, means it will start from, let's say, here. So, or let's say here it is starting from here. You can see that these two are inclined together. That means they are part of this else loop. Okay. Now, in this case, what's going to happen? So there are two ways. Either we can press tab. Some people press tab character to go to that 4-1, or some people just put space 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just press 4 times and basically keep the inclination. Up to you to choose it. I would suggest you to go with 4 spaces because that's more convenient. You will not end up doing any sort of mistakes in that case. So this indentation, guys, just keep in mind, it's very, very important in Python. Now, so this way we will be seeing that if I have put this else and we got this output. Now let's see Elif, means it's not mandatory this, right, that you kind of say if and else only. Maybe there are some more conditions being inclined to it, right? Now, like I can say, if you learn data science through TecLov, you become an excellent data scientist. Else if you learn a big data course from TecLov, you become excellent big data engineer. Else you become expert of none, right? So here I am putting 3 conditions. One is that you're learning data science through TecLov and becoming an basically an expert in data scientist. Second condition is also checking for the big data, and the third is like if you're not doing any of the above, then you will not going to become a good data scientist or a big data engineer. So the same way you will be keeping this if else loop. So you can put the multiple conditions here in this way. So like here you say if condition, elif condition and else. But I noticed one more interesting thing here. What is this input? What is this input? So it means that if I will execute this, if I say execute this statement, notice that what's going to happen. So it is going to ask you to input a value here. See, I'm going to just say this, and it's saying that enter a number, and it opened up this bracket for you that you provide me an input now. User is going to provide. So let's say if you say here 10. Now what will happen? This 10 will be in the format of a string. So in order to convert this string to an integer, you need to pass an integer. So this is kind of casting, okay? You are typecasting it. Now this 10 will be taken up. Now see this output. See, it's saying that positive number. So let's see how this positive number came up. So now this num variable contains the value 10. So if 10 is greater than 0, yes, that's the case. So we got positive. Otherwise, if this condition was, let's say, not true, in that case, we would have got, let's say, Elif, if my condition is equal to 0, then it is a 0, otherwise negative. Let's see even those outputs as well. Let's kind of execute them as well. So here, let's say if I again come here and re-execute this code, and let's say this time I put a 0. So notice this time it is saying it is 0. That means it is going to Elif loop, right? Because my first condition is going to be false. So the second condition is going to be taken up, and that is it is 0. If I put, let's say, -1, you will notice that it's going to return you a negative number, right? So that's how this works. Now, let's see a kind of example to complete this if else loop. Let's say I've given you 3 values. I have hard coded it, but if you wish, you don't need to hard code it. You can use this input function which I just explained you. So you can just put your condition that so here I'm trying to find the smallest number. So I'm checking the condition that if n1 is less than n2, and so I'm using that logical operations which we have learned before, and n1 is also less than n3, then in that case definitely n1 is less than n2 as well as n3. So I will keep the smallest as n1. Then after that I will also check that if n2 is less than or equal to n1 and n2 is less than or equal to n3. So in that case I will assign smallest as n2. Right? So I'm just checking the conditions, and based on that I will putting. Otherwise smallest is going to be n3. So these 3 conditions it's going to be verified, and whichever is going to be smallest is going to give me an output. So in this case definitely is going to return me the value 2, like n1, right? So let's execute. So here if I come and execute this code, so I get like the value 2, right? So this is the code doing this. I can also put some more portion here, like I can say if none. It means that definitely nothing is gonna be true in this if block. So you can see that it's not going at all in this if block, because let's say I want to make sure that I don't enter inside if block at all. I just want to keep it like that. Though practically we should not be doing this, but just to take an example, I can say if none, or I can say if false. False will also not let you go. So in that case, it will always go to else and will return you is false. So if I execute this, you can see that it's going to return me is false. So this consists of your if else statement.